premonition now in hindsight?
Maybe. But I've had a lot of people say a lot of crazy things to me, a lot of cool stuff to me, and only 60% of it's come true, so I'm still waiting the rest.
Now, Daredevil's back. Jessica's going to make an appearance in that show.
Yeah.
I know I've heard you say there's been conversations about Luke Cage coming back, but that's probably, I don't think there's anything else you can say at this point on that, right? No more updates?
Look, I mean, here's the thing. I have been talking to Marvel, and Jessica's back. And there's a lot of story left to tell, and I just think that it would be a shame for me not to pop back up.
So yeah, let's hear it.
I'll leave it at that.
I mean, obviously as an actor and a professional, like you want to do other roles and challenge yourself.
Yeah.
But you do feel like there's unfinished business where you would want to explore that character more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first finished filming Luke Cage, I was sort of like ready to do other things, and so as an actor, I'm just looking for something that's different and something interesting and something that I can just, sink my teeth into that scares me a little bit and that's something that comes out of left field a little bit. I'm interested in different more than anything else. Like, if I'm uncomfortable, if I don't know much about the character or the world, that excites me. So after Luke Cage, I waited a bit and there's some things that are offered, and I mean, I've always been that way. I think I work sort of fragmentedly, and what I mean by is that I don't take the job that is offered sometimes right away that sort of mirrors the job that I've had before, because that doesn't feel right to me. I don't feel comfortable. It doesn't excite me. So at a risk of being someone unemployed for a little longer than I need to be, I just wait a little bit, and sometimes it works out because I'm looking for something that's different. And my thing is, I don't know what's next, but I just need to be different. So if someone throws something at me that's different, that's the key for me. So that's what I've been doing. And so after Luke Cage, Evil came along, and I already worked with the Kings before, playing Lamont Bishop. I liked their writing. I liked them as as people, and we had a good rapport. And so I went back to that world, and Evil was really unique because I saw the script and I was like, this is weird. And I was like, okay, I don't know where this is going, so definitely sign me up. Like, I was like a black priest. I was never in Catholic school. I didn't know anything about priesthood, never seen a black priest. I was totally stoked to jump into that. And now they're written another series called Cupertino, which is a legal drama Trojan horse show that's going to be my character starting his own law firm, going after AI. And
brand new.
So that's something new that I'll be starting in March. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I read the first couple of scripts, and it gets pretty creepy and weird and sort of interesting in terms of where we are in the world. And I don't know how long they'll let us tell the story, but it's happening now, so let's see.
Yes, look forward to that. Very cool. Very timely as well. Do you feel like, just to touch on that note about being a little reluctant or taking your time with things, do you think that's also to avoid getting typecast? And I say that with respect, but is it almost like a defense kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because I'm not really interested usually in things that would be something that people write for people that look like me.
Right.
Not because it's not, not that I can't do it, but I mean, it just feels too on the nose. It doesn't feel like something I have to really work at, because half of acting, I think, for some people to suspend their disbelief is if I look the part, then they will then believe it, right? So if I'm sitting on a plane and someone doesn't know who I am and I'm in first class, they're thinking I'm an athlete. That's just what it is. They think, hey, guy certain size, black, he's an athlete. They're not looking at me thinking I'm a stockbroker. They're not thinking I'm a lawyer. They're not thinking I'm a priest. They're not thinking, all the things that I'm interested in playing. They're not thinking. So I make sure I'm looking for those roles so I can play, because that's just how I am. It feels more genuine to me as a person, and authentic and challenging to me. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I thought I would have made a good lawyer, so I would like to play a lawyer. So that's what I see.
That's fascinating. I love The Good Wife, and when Lamont Bishop showed up in an episode, you're like, shit is going down. This is good. This is going to be a good one. Yeah. And then you also we're in a couple episodes of The Good Fight too. But talk to me about how you portrayed that character, how you tackled that role, because that just seems like a lot of fun to play that character.
It was. I mean, it was one of those things where I try to find the opposites in the character, because if someone puts it on paper to tell you what this character is, I just look for the opposites, because that is where the humanity lies in the character. And for Lamont Bishop, I just thought to myself, he has dealings in the drug world, but that's not who he is. I looked at him as like he has an MBA. He's a businessman. And just because he has diversification, he has a certain, because he had dry cleaners, he had gyms, spas, horse stables, he had investments all around. But most people wanted to identify him as a drug dealer because he was black, not because that's all he did. Whereas there's so many bankers that they literally bankroll the cartel. They clean their money. That's what they do. They live in Connecticut. They have big banks that you have your money at. They literally bankroll and clean the money. They're drug dealers, but nobody looks at the guy named, John Smith sitting in Amsterdam, and he never goes to jail. They will bring about, one drug cartel dealer, gang member, and they'll sacrifice him to the media and go like, hey, we got the bad guy. No, you didn't get the bad guy. You got 20 bad guys in Connecticut. It's not how it works. So I fought against whatever ideal that the audience wanted for Lamont Bishop. So I never really wanted. So he never had. There was no violence on screen. Lamont Bishop never did anything. He just had things done, supposedly, allegedly. So it was always, I felt like he was the kind of person, he would be at these meetings and he'd be in these governors' balls and hanging out with politicians and stuff like that, because they're the most corrupt people. But he was no more or less corrupt than they were, so it was all even keel. So the idea that he was somehow dirtier because he had, I'm like, please, all of you guys do drugs or dealing drugs, you know what I mean? So that's how I looked at it. The pharmaceutical industry was the biggest drug dealer, and I just thought, well, what are you talking about? I totally played it as a business guy.
I think, and that was the scary thing about his character, the restraint and that quiet menace, where you didn't need to see him shooting a gun or getting violent, beating someone down. It was like what he was capable of and what you kind of like thought more about he could do versus what you saw on screen.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. I mean, real power doesn't lie in demonstrative behavior, because when you have real power, you don't, and that goes for anybody, whether it's, power in terms of command and charge of people, leader of men, or people who are just actually good fighters, martial artists. They don't say a lot because they don't need to. And if they raise their voice, it's way past, they don't need to. They know what they can do, so they're quiet. So the people who are quiet is who you need to be worried about. People who don't yell is who you should worry. People who are screaming because they want you to back off and they hope that you will be afraid of their yelling. That's all they got. They got a lot of bark. Trust me, if they knew what they were doing, they would just knock you out. They wouldn't say anything, or they would just go and make a phone call. You know what I mean? Like when you blow up at someone and they don't respond, you better leave town. Okay? When somebody doesn't respond with violence or yelling back at you, those are the people you got to worry about, man. I'm telling you. Just saying.
That's right. Lamont had the bite, not necessarily the bark. Let's go back to 2004. $1 Million Baby was one of your first roles where you played a boxer. Clint Eastwood directed that film. Iconic person in the industry, and very influential. Tons of movies that he starred in, different genres, like you think of the westerns, Dirty Harry, like later as like The Cop, and then also his breadth of films he directed. What do you take away from working on that film, and was there any kind of like advice that Clint gave you that stayed with you in terms of being an actor?
It was really just I was like a sponge. I was a sponge on set. It was the most ideal circumstance and situation that I could have ever dreamed of being in, for every reason you could imagine. I had been out of school probably maybe 3 years, two or 3 years, maybe 2 years, and to have the opportunity to work with someone of Clint's stature, growing up watching his stuff, watching him as an actor transition into a director and create a certain kind of niche for himself in doing the kind of films that he wanted to do for a certain budget, delivered at a certain time frame, and just doing things in what we would call small level, but having the most, I think, big cultural impact. And I think Unforgiven is one of my top films, or it's one of the top films. Western or not Western, it's like one of those. If you would put it in Western genre, it's a top Western, which is a great film. And it's simple. It's a simple themes. And I grew up watching stuff, so being on set, I don't get starstruck much, right? Not anymore. But because I worked with Clint so early on, I was like, well, Jesus, I met Clint. Okay, so now, that the bar's high to be starstruck, because also he was so approachable and so relatable, and he didn't create this hierarchy on set and create this whole thing about, I'm Clint, you just that. You can call him Clint, or you can call him Boss, if people call him Boss or whatever, and he gave you really good food, and catering was good. You traveled nicely, you stayed in a great accommodation, He paid you a decent wage, and we got in there, did what we wanted to do, and we were out on time, early. We shot, and it was, I mean, he doesn't do a lot of takes, so that was unusual, but I wasn't in the business that long, so I wasn't used to doing a bunch of takes anyway. So it was like, okay, cool, this is how we work. Well, this is, as an actor training in school and being in theater, you do stuff live, so there's no second take anyway. So someone's saying we need to do this in 2-3 takes. Well, I've already rehearsed at home for like weeks. This is literally what I'm waiting for. This is not about like, how, you know, I'm a person who believes that, you know, this whole idea of like 50 takes, everybody's got their own theory. A lot of people actually do their work on set. They don't do their work at home. And so that costs money for the crew and for everyone. We are professional actors. The work could be done before you get to set. That's how it works. So that was unusual to me. So that didn't throw me. But I did get there. I remember the first day I filmed. I got there. I was probably like, I don't know, 10 minutes behind when I probably should have been there because traffic. I was self-reporting in LA, and I drove myself to set. And I was just having a great time. I think I was having lunch and enjoying the sun. I looked at the watch and was like, ooh, I probably should go. You know, it was back with GPS. It wasn't on my phone, so I was like, yeah, I was going to Pasadena. And I got there, and I'm so used to everything taking so long. Like, you wait in the trailer for so long. They were ready for me. They were rushing me through all the makeup and chair thing, and they were ready to shoot. I had no idea that they were on time. Like, they were on time. I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, Clint's waiting. Clint's waiting. I'm telling you, when they said Clint was waiting, my neck, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I'm telling you, I was so, oh my God. So I said to myself, okay, that's a lesson, right? This is how he works. I got there, we did the first take or two, it went well. He didn't say anything, that's perfect. When the director doesn't tell you anything, for me, that's it. I don't need you to, we're not in theater. We don't get claps. We don't get standing ovations in film and television. You have to know what you're doing, and you know when it's good. If it's not good, they'll tell you or they'll make you do it again. And you can't be self-involved and be like, oh, I need to do another take. For who? It's not a vanity project. It's for like, this is a big production, right? So I sat on set, and when we finally got to turn around and stuff, I got a chance to do my stuff first. Clint was really sensitive to actors. He knew how actors were. So he, as an actor, he put you in a position to succeed so you wouldn't feel stressed. That's why he didn't sit in the room with you when you auditioned. You auditioned on tape with Phyllis Hoffman, his casting director for like 25 years. And so you didn't have the pressure of Clint being in the room. So when he walked in the room to audition, it's not Clint in the room. So you could just audition with her. He'll look at it in private on tape. And that's how you get the jobs. And then when you go on set, if it's better for you to do your stuff first, he'll let you do your stuff first because it's better for you because you have more He just made it, he accommodated for the actor. That's kind of how it worked. And that's how I got into the business, because that was my biggest project. So I look at that as a blueprint for everything. And so with other people who are a-holes, I don't care how big you are, when they behave weird, I've already seen people like Clint, so I don't need to like, I know it's possible. You don't have to be a jerk. So it was a really great experience for me. So that was there, and I read the script, and I remember thinking, I told my agent at the time, this is going to win everything. This is way before I read the script, not knowing who was going to be in this movie. I read it and I said, this is going to win the Oscars, all the Oscars, and it was right. It won 4 Oscars. It was just great.
That's incredible.
And he mentioned my name on the stage. He said, Mike. He said, thank you. He called the actors, and it was so great, so great.
That's a bucket list moment for sure. It's funny because you hear about Kubrick doing dozens of takes, even Fincher. Yeah. But Clint is known for his efficiency, and I think that's why the studio loves him, because he gets it done on time and on budget. And there's like craftsmanship there to it.
It is an expectation of living up to and that's for everybody. I mean, Kevin Bacon told similar stories. I've heard every actor, Matt Damon, DiCaprio, doesn't matter, whoever's working with Clint, they all just have to go with the flow. It's not, there's no like, he's just, you're here to work, you know what I mean? This is what it is.
Your voice is incredible. Like, have you done, what kind of vocal training did you do? Like, did you always talk like this? Because
the only vocal training I do, honestly, is calibration of, for a long time growing up, I did not like my voice. I did not like the sound of my voice.
Why?
Well, I grew up in the era of the answering machine, right? So when you go and you put your own voice in the answering machine, you had to listen to it to play back.
It was on a little tape, right?
That's tape. sound quality. It's just a different. It feels weird. Like it was always just weird to me. And I've made fun of jokes about it, and I've made my peace with it. It has been an interesting thing, but I've grown to appreciate things that I didn't like when I was younger. As most people understand it, sometimes becomes your favorite things when you get older. But yeah, my voice changed because for me, the voice became it's such a defining characteristic. For me, it was like, okay, the characters and the people I want to play, they also have to have this voice, right? And so I had to modulate in my own head because as an actor, I have to see myself differently. So sometimes I don't even use the same register. I try to like change it slightly depending on the character, depending on where I think the level of gravitas should be, or how approachable I think he should be, because I think it does matter sometimes when you're talking to people how deep your voice is. So I honestly don't talk at my deepest level ever, really. I always sort of modulate it a couple times. When I do voiceovers, I go lower. Usually when I'm doing voiceovers for like City Confidential, then I change my register for that. Usually I'm in a lower register, but in general, some of the characters are not quite the same register. A little higher, slightly.
Cool. Let's talk about Plane, Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
2023. That was just such a fun ride, action thriller. I know there was talk of a sequel that never came to fruition, but that would have been cool to see, right?
Absolutely. We were 2 weeks out of pre-production, and he bailed on it. He just sort of he bailed on it. And it was unfortunate because it was I saw the script. It was a really great script, and we'll see. But it was unfortunate because I was interested in seeing where that character was going to go, and it was a great script. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen.
But it must have been fun, like sharing screen time with him and also doing like a really physical role as well, right?
Yeah, it was interesting because it was like one of those things where it's like, I grew up on certain kind of action films. And the kind of action films that I like are action films that feel like something that actually could happen. Right. Like the Die Hard movie, which kind of launched a lot of that genre, where you're like, okay, an everyday guy against these insurmountable circumstances that seem just like you cannot get out of the situation.
While barefoot.
While barefoot, right? Like add that to it, right? I mean, I remember watching this movie called The Park Is Mine, like Rambo, like you just like gritty movies that were just like sort of like launched, unfortunately, sequel after sequel and movie after movie, just different locations. It was the same movie almost, right? So I thought about it, I was like, okay, this felt like something like that. This felt like that kind of movie. So I went into it with low expectations, but I think it felt really interesting and it turned out to be really good because they originally wanted to shoot that movie at night. And I remember thinking to myself, at night would have meant that we would have shot the entire schedule of the film at night. And I'm sorry, that is horrible. Because the human body is not supposed to be up at night. So your circadian rhythm, right, does not work, and you can't flip it. It goes by the sun. So it takes years off your life. I'm sorry, people who are graveyard shifts, I know I've been up late at night, I shot. It's never good. It's never a good idea. So I was so happy when I found out that was scrapped pretty early on because I don't know if I would have done it if they would have been all night because it changes everything. It changes your sleep habits. It changes your mood. And honestly, for the look of the film, it worked perfectly to be at daytime. It worked fine. Like, it was just, I always say, why not shoot during the daytame? That's always my first question. I see night, why are we shooting at night? Why? Is there a reason? Is there a reason we're shooting at night? Somebody tell me. Because I want to be in bed by midnight, latest. Okay, I love sleep now. I discovered it late in life. I like it. I regret not finding it sooner. It never felt good not to get it. It was never impressive to go 3 days. It never felt good, ever. And I think to myself when I was younger, I don't know what I was thinking. It's like a drug. A good night's sleep is like being drugged with joy juice. You wake up, if you get 8 hours, all I need is 7. 7 solid hours at the same time every night, I'm a rock star. If I get 8, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with myself. Sometimes I'm sitting there consciously thinking about how good I feel because I slept while someone's talking to me mid-conversation. They're talking about something really, and I'm going, I am so awake right now. Awake right now. Like right now I'm thinking that because I got like 7.5 hours sleep for the second night in a row. And
there you go.
And last night I slept earlier than usual. I got deep sleep. I got my Oura ring is loving me. I'm high off of just being awake. I'm that awake. I don't know how you guys feel. I see some people look sleepy. I get like you right there. Yeah, raise your hand. You look like you're a little tired, aren't you? I'm feeling for you.
And it's definitely not you.
How many hours did you sleep last night? Show me a number with your hand. 6.
Not enough.
6? Okay, women need 8, guys. Men can get by on 7. Women need 8. I'm sorry, and that's a lot. But that means you need to be in the bed for. If you need 7, you got to be in the bed 8 to get 7, because you're gonna wake up and you're gonna go to the bathroom. You're gonna turn around. That means you got to be in the bed at 8.5 to 9 hours. I know it sounds impossible. I'm just telling you now. Change your life.
Love it. Sleep doctor Mike Coulter over here.
I went to a sleep doctor. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, if you have a question for Mike, come on up to the mic and in an orderly fashion if you can. I want to ask you though, growing up, young Mike Coulter, like, what was a performance on the big screen or on the VHS that you watched and you were like, I want to do that?
Oh, so many. Oh God, so many. I consumed so much film and television because back in the day, I don't know, I was an introverted kid. I didn't really have a lot of friends that I hung out with after school. So I just watched so much stuff. Any movies or television shows from the 70s to like the mid to the mid 90s, I was dialed in on. I mean, I remember some movies that changed my life. I think people always ask me, what's your favorite movie? And I go, It's a Wonderful Life is probably my favorite film.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great film. Watch it every year.
It's
It
classic.
makes me cry every time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a phenomenal film. And I mean, oh God, I mean, obviously like movies like Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, there's some great films. I mean, I was watching this, I mean, obviously Godfathers, but everyone, Shawshank Redemption, all these movies. And I always tell people like, it's what do you call it? World According to Garp, one of my favorite movies of all time. Such a good film. That film could come out right now and clean up at the award shows. Not that means anything, because let's be clear, awards don't really mean. I mean, come on, no. Just saying, it could. It should have. That film.
That was Robin Williams, right?
Robin Williams' first. It was I think it was his first. Popeye might have been his first film. I think it might have been. I think this might have come first. I can't remember which came first. But this is his first dramatic role. Maybe, I'm not sure. But let me tell you, Robin Williams' first movie, probably. Glenn Close's first big screen movie. John Lithgow, both got nominated for Oscars. George Roy Hill directed it. Henry Bumstead, who also did this, who did the, what do you call it? The set deck, scenic design for things like Sting and I think Butch Cassidy and $1 Million Baby.
Yeah.
When we did $1 Million Baby, Henry Bumstead was in a wheelchair. He didn't live much longer, but that was great to meet like such an icon in Hollywood, like the scenic design. He'd done so many great films. So that movie was stacked with such, I think Swoosie Kurtz was in that movie. There was such a great script. And it dealt with such big ideas and big concepts about the meaning of life and sexuality and feminism and did it with humor and infidelity. It was just a wonderful film. And every time I watch it, it takes me through so many emotions, and I end up crying every time at the end, and it's always life affirming, and always I get welled up thinking about it now. It just moves me. So the movies like that, when I see those movies, I go, Jesus Christ, I want to do something like that. I want to do something where someone's sitting across from the screen and they feel something that changes something inside of them, and they leave the room and they go out and it stays with them and it influences them for the rest of their life in a positive way. That happens sometimes. Terminator did that to me when I walked Terminator 2. I was like, oh my God. I walked out there. Malcolm X, Spike Lee's Malcolm X. I saw that in the theater. And I walked out and I went, holy shit, this country's crazy. They don't like black people. Now I have to be way more. It's just everything changes, you know what I mean?
Speaking of Spike, did you see Highest to Lowest?
I haven't seen it.
You gotta see that.
I gotta see
I saw it the other day.
I need to catch up. I'm
So
still
good.
behind.
Denzel.
I know. I love Denzel, but it's hard because Because knowing that I know he's probably, I mean, he's saying he might retire, it's hard because I feel like when someone's getting to retire, it's almost like knowing your series is gonna end. Like you know they have one more season and you don't want to watch the last season. So I'm just kind of like in denial, like,
He's got more in him.
I don't know. He's saying
It's
he
worth
might,
checking out.
might wrap it up. Familiar with myself as a performer, and I'm trying to think about whatever the new job is, the new character, and I need to cleanse my psychological palette to approach the character because I still look the same. I don't do a lot of drastic visual changes. I don't go grow my hair down to my back because I don't have the hair, and I don't do a lot of wigs, and I do small things. You know, there's little things that I have to find with the character so that when I'm playing them, I never feel mentally like I'm somewhere else, because that's the hardest part of changing roles, especially when you're doing television shows for a few seasons. You got to be able to switch, and you got to be able to figure out this character and dial into it in a way that makes sense. And I never think about, you know, the other character. Like people would tell me about, oh, what do you think about Luke Cage when I was filming Evil? And I never thought about Luke Cage. And if I'm working, I had to I had to hypnotize myself and think about this thing, and this is who I am for that time, and I get into that character, and I leave the other stuff alone. You just have to, you know. So I really don't know how to answer that because I don't really know. I'm not saying I don't know who I am, but whoever I am is not as interesting sometimes as the characters I'm playing, or maybe they're more interesting. But I try not to put myself into too many characters. I try to just find the characters and if it's coincidentally they're like me, it's usually random. I've known the Kings who are writing this show for me 17 years now. Gosh, yeah, 17 years, and we've had a great professional relationship for a very long time. Have spent some time, social hours with them. We've hung out. We've had broken bread and had drinks. But I like to tell them the least amount about myself as possible, and least amount of my personal life as possible, so I can let Robert and Michelle's imagination run wild with what they want, because whatever they're thinking is more interesting than what I want to tell them. I like people's imagination to take off, and then I'll fill the shoes of whatever you're making, rather than you get to know me and go, oh, he's like this, let's write a character like that. I don't want to get too many things about me. I just try to keep that stuff to myself, you know?
Cool, great question, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeff. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
I have one question. Sorry, I'm shaking. I'm intimidated.
You're like 10, 12 feet away. You're like 50.
Yes, here we are.
Here we are.
If any, what were the mental and emotional challenges that you had playing such a big character as Luke Cage?
I think the biggest challenge was like the expectation of a large demographic of the culture, of the country, of the world, wanting to see this character brought to life, because I didn't know the character, but I thought that served me best, because I knew there were actors who wanted this role, who petitioned for it, and you know, and they grew up watching it. It'd be like if I was watching James Bond, right? I have an idea in my head. I've seen all the James Bonds for up to a certain point. It was nice that I didn't know, because for me, I just like it's just fresh for me. I have a clean my palette is blank. I don't know anything about it. So when I approached him, I wasn't in awe of the material or the character, because I wasn't familiar with it. And I think that's the best way. And there's nothing you can do about that. Like if you know a character intimately, you can't unknow it. But the fact that I didn't know it helped a lot, because I had no expectation of what it was to play him. I just looked at him as another character. That's how I looked at it. It was just like, okay, well, this is how we're going to play him. This is the kind of vibe we're giving him, and we'll see if they like it. And I'm sure some people won't like it, but that's fine. We'll just do it anyway.
Well, we all loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi there, I just wanted to ask, so you have the opportunity to dabble in some pretty big universes in your career so far, being the Halo franchise and Marvel. Of course, with that comes a lot of press, a lot of media obligation, of course, endless amounts of NDAs, which I'm sure everyone loves. But with that, how has those experiences helped you in terms of how you approach media now and how you go about promoting your projects?
You know, I stayed on social media for so long after Luke Cage. I joined late because I was really not. I'm still not sure why I'm on social media. I don't know. It's exhausting, to be honest with you. I recently bought a phone that has no social media capabilities, and I'm getting ready to segue into that. And I don't know how much. I don't know. I want to just unplug because I don't see much positive stuff that comes from it, other than copious amounts of time that is absorbed in addictions and shortening your attention spans to the point where we need to come up with content that's only 5 minutes because your brain can't take much longer than that. I find it depressing mostly. So when I think about that aspect of promotion, it's daunting because I don't know what I want to do with that. I just want to make something. If I like it, then I don't mind promoting it. But nowadays, nobody really wants. Studios don't want to spend money promoting. They want you to have a following and you promote, and this is the thing. And maybe I should have thought of that before and gotten on social media and you know, taken as many followers along as when I first broke in Luke Cage. But also, you know, my own sanity was important. My mental sanity was important, and I wasn't sure how to approach it. I would have done it differently now, but I just don't know because I don't know what it is. There's so much I call it content because there's not a lot of there's art and there's content. And when I think about media and I think about all the stuff nowadays, I mean, we're not really in a country that's free anymore. There's not a lot of freedoms anymore, and everybody's. There's just this weird sort of feeling that we're not really serious people anymore. Like everything is sort of like we're in some sort of alternate universe where we're just finding offense over things that aren't offensive and then not actually offended by things that should be really offensive. And I don't want to play that game. I don't want to play the game of, if you put this stuff in a box, I'll agree to be offended by that. And the stuff that's really offensive, we're just going to pretend that that's not offensive. I can't, because when people are on carpets and asking dumb questions that should go without saying, I don't think we're serious people. I don't think the adults are in the room anymore. I don't think the adults are in the room anymore, and it's embarrassing. And I have 2 daughters, and I don't know, to think that I have to raise my daughters in this world, it's sad. I saw, you know, social media posts, because I try to spend less than 30 minutes collectively throughout the day on social media. I have this app called Opal that will block you, so you can't actually get on it without really begging for more time. It gives you like 15 minutes if you want it. It'll ask you, do you really want to get on here? Do you really need this right now? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to go on social media? Take a deep breath. Are you sure? And all that stuff makes you go, you know what, actually, I thought, no, I don't. I don't feel like doing this. By the time you get on, you're like, forget it. But when I'm on, I saw this one thing you post about, you know, and it was Smashing Pumpkins. I forgot Smashing Pumpkins, which I love those guys, right? And it was talking about the 90s and how great it was to grow up in the 90s. And it was just, I mean, I know it sounds nostalgic. It sounds like some old fart. But like when you have less technology, you had to go outside and you had to ride your bike, and you had to go play with your friends, you had to make up games, and you had some technology, you had some video games, but you couldn't put something in your head and disappear from the world, and you needed to be outside for a certain amount of time, and you learned how to deal with people, how to look people in the eye, how to shake hands, and all the stuff. You had to talk to people, and you had to be brave enough to start a conversation. You had to, if you wanted to talk to a girl, you had to actually go up and talk to her. And if you really want to take the easy way out, you write them a note, little note, but you gotta write it. You gotta write that note. I was there. I wrote, man, I'm telling you, that text was a note. Write that note out, fold it up, you put it in her seat or whatever, stick it in her back, whatever you did, man. And then you sit there, you sweat and wait. Oh my God. Oh my God, is she gonna see that thing? What is she gonna do? And you watch her open it, and she doesn't know who put it. You slip it in her notebook, and then she finds it, and you watch her look, because that's it. Now you can watch. That's like, okay, she's opening it, she's opening it, she's opening it. Oh, Jesus. What's the look? And you can tell, because she doesn't know you're watching her, and she's unguarded moment, and it's either, yeah, boy, or, ooh. That was life. You can't do that now. Texting is not communication. You can't get tone. You can't get that. You don't know what's happening. And things can be misconstrued. You got to put emojis and all sorts of stuff. It's like, oh my God, I hate it. You never can be off the grid. People call you. If you don't pick up, it's like they blow your phone up. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how many calls, missed calls? Like, let me look right now how many missed calls I have. Oh, actually, no, nobody loves me right now. But you know what I mean? Like that's you know, sometimes just like I didn't pick up. But back in the day, my dad went to work. You couldn't reach him. You couldn't reach him. You got to handle what's going on by yourself. You know what I mean?
How about when you picked up the phone and you didn't know who was on there? Like, hello?
Oh, that's
the
great.
landline.
The landline. Well, you listen to the voicemail, then you pick up. Then remember the call waiting, you click over. So many people are like, what are you talking about? What are you
Yeah, we're
talking
dating ourselves now.
The pager was fun. I'm going to wait to the pager. Pager was
Oh,
fun.
yeah. Then you had to get to a phone.
Well, the pager was fun because you had different colors, the cases, the pager. You could see the number. You go to a payphone to call, but I mean, it can wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
It's not a
it can wait.
911.
Nah, that can wait. That 911. That's who's that? Lord,
Put it on your belt.
Oh, it's fun. It was fun, man. Pager was baller, man. Baller. And then you had the call center. You could call the call center and see who call. Listen, we're doing way too much. Way too much.
Well, we got to leave it there for time.
Oh, darn.
Give it up for Mike Coulter, everybody. Beautiful, man.